Hello and welcome. Today, we're diving into some really powerful leadership principles from Simon Sinek, and we're going to look at them through a very specific lens: high-performing teams in healthcare. Why? Because in your world, the stakes are about as high as they get.
So where's this coming from? Well, this whole exploration is part of our work in the Culture Coalition. We've been digging deep into Sinek's work, especially this core concept he talks about called the circle of safety. And trust me, it's an idea that can totally change how you think about a leader's true job.
Okay, to really get what this is all about, let's start with a story. A story that just perfectly captures what's at stake when it comes to trust and leadership.
I want you to picture this. It's Afghanistan, August 16th, 2002. You've got an A-10 Warthog pilot, his call sign is Johnny Bravo, and he's circling way up high above a valley. For him, the sky is clear, but down below, it's a completely different situation.
See, on the ground, a team of 22 Special Forces troops is moving through that valley when, bam, they're ambushed. The call crackles over the radio. Troops in contact. That's the code. It means they're under heavy fire and they are in serious trouble.
So what does Johnny Bravo do? Without a second of hesitation, he points the nose of his plane straight down and dives right into the storm. He pops out under the clouds, less than 1,000 feet off the ground, flying totally blind in a valley with cliffs on both sides, just to lay down fire and protect soldiers he's never even met.
Later on, someone asked him, why? Why would you risk your own life for them? And his answer? It's the answer you always hear from people on these amazing teams. He just said, because they would have done it for me. And that right there, that's not just courage. That is deep, unconditional trust.
So where in the world does that kind of trust come from? Is it just a feeling, a fuzzy concept? Well, Simon Sinek argues no, not at all. The answer is actually hardwired right into our biology. It all comes down to brain chemistry.
Sinek calls this environment the circle of safety, and the idea is really simple. When people feel like they belong, when they truly believe their leaders and their teammates have their back, they stop wasting all that energy protecting themselves from each other. Instead, it can finally band together and focus on the real dangers, the ones outside the circle.
And get this, it really boils down to two chemicals that are basically in a constant tug of war inside our brains. On one side, you've got oxytocin. That's the good stuff, the chemical of trust, connection, and teamwork. And on the other side, cortisol. That's the stress hormone that makes us anxious, paranoid, and focused only on saving ourselves. A leader's actions are what determine which chemical floods the room.
And you know what a high cortisol team looks and feels like, right? The threats are coming from inside. People are terrified to speak up. There's a blame culture, you've got politics, infighting. Everyone's just trying to protect themselves. And in that kind of environment, the team just stagnates. But what about the alternative? What happens when a leader creates that circle of safety? Well, the whole environment is just swimming in oxytocin. People feel psychologically safe, they trust each other, they work together, they're willing to take risks and come up with new ideas. This is where high-performing teams are born. So, all of this brings us to the core metaphor of Sinek's whole philosophy. It's the simple idea that gives his book its name, and it completely flips the script on what it means to be in charge. Sinek tells this story about how he was trying to understand what makes the Marine Corps so special. And a general just told him flat out, officers eat last. It's not a guideline, it's a rule. The most junior person eats first and the most senior leader eats last, always. And that one simple act says it all. Leadership has nothing to do with the perks of your rank. It's not about authority. It is a choice to put the needs of your people before your own, to run towards the danger so that they can feel safe and do their job. Okay, so let's bring this right into your world. A hospital setting, where you're leading teams caring for really complex patients. The pressure is just immense, which makes this whole idea of a circle of safety not just nice to have, but absolutely essential.
So I want you to stop and think for a second. Right now, in your unit, on your floor, where are the real dangers? I mean, really, where are the threats coming from? Because figuring that out is the very first step.
You see, the external dangers are obvious, right? The patient's illness, the uncertainty of a diagnosis, the constant pressure on resources, the clock that's always ticking. That is the enemy your team needs to fight. A leader's job is to fight the internal dangers, the blame game after a bad outcome, the fear people have about speaking up, the politics between departments. You build the shield so your team can wield the spear.
All right, so you're probably thinking, okay, I get it. But how do I actually do this? How can you, as a clinical leader, actively start building this circle of safety? Well, It's not about big, grand gestures. It's about small, consistent actions.
Here are 3 things you can start doing tomorrow. First, give your time and energy. You know, an email doesn't build trust, but sitting down next to someone and just asking, "How can I help you?" that does. Second, fight against abstraction. Your team, your patients, they aren't numbers on a spreadsheet. They're people. Connect with them like people. And third, unite your team against a common enemy. Frame the challenge as us against the problem, not us against each other.
At the end of the day, it all comes back to this one simple truth. Being a leader has nothing to do with where you are on an org chart. It's a choice you make every single day to look after the person to your left and the person to your right.
So, as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on. Your title, your position, that makes you an authority. But it's your actions, your willingness to sacrifice, your choice to eat last that make you a leader. So the real question is, which one are you choosing to be?